Good morning. Thank you all so much for coming. This is, it's honestly overwhelming. When I started, when I joined this journey about 4 years ago, we had, my second week on the job was our user conference at Gouveia, and I think there were about 30 people there. So this is really incredible to see, and it really means a lot to all of us that all of you have come, and it's just we're overwhelmed by the amount of reception and adoption of this product in the community, and really just honored to be able to support all of you. So it really means a lot to us. Thank you. Also want to thank KWS and as our representatives of Kenya for welcoming us here. This beautiful place. Obviously, I've spent a lot of time in Kenya. I've always just absolutely love this country, and KWS has always been phenomenal to work with. So we're very honored to be welcomed here as part of this event as well. So if you look out there among you, well, this was before Kenya Airways went on strike, but the plan was to have about 340 attendees at this event. Looking around and counting empty seats, I'm guessing maybe 320, which is still really amazing. All of you come from actually 35 countries on 5 different continents, so we have representation of conservation really from around the globe here. Also want to especially thank 60 organizations that very graciously offered to pay their own expenses, which actually allowed us to have 60 additional of you here. So thank you to all of you. And also want to acknowledge, unfortunately, the bulk of our colleagues from Uganda who weren't able to join us due to the Ebola outbreak there, and also our users and partners in Ukraine who also can't join us for obvious reasons, unfortunately. But so I want to talk briefly about how to make the most of this event. The EarthRanger User Conference to us has meant a lot over the years. This is the 7th time we've been doing this, and in my observation, it's potentially possible that this event has had as much of an impact on conservation as the actual EarthRanger software. Through bringing people together and the conversations and the connections that have been made at this event in the past, it's incredible to see the amount of collaboration and partnership and friendship that has been struck up through the years over this event, and it's really been wonderful to be a part of that. I also want to say that just as EarthRanger is a tool among many tools and among many processes and different approaches that you all undertake in your work, EarthRanger is also a context for this conference. But all of you are the foremost experts in your fields. You're among colleagues who are also their foremost experts in their fields. So we hope that this is a great opportunity to bring people together to talk about much, much more than EarthRanger. And if EarthRanger gets a mention in there, we're thrilled. But really, we see this as a great opportunity for all of you to find commonality and learn from each other about work in general. This is a picture from the first EarthRanger User Conference, which was held in Lewa, now 6 years ago, I guess, which would make this the 7th. Wanted to point out a couple of things here, because even though the audience is now 20 times the size, we still are trying to maintain some of the aspects of the culture and the experience that was at this first conference. Want to point out a few things. So first is Ian Craig on the far left is demonstrating what I consider to be perfect EarthRanger User Conference attire. This is a very informal event. We want to encourage everyone to collaborate with everyone, regardless of title or country or language or anything else. So I also want to point out his pink chucks, which are pretty amazing. Ian Douglas Hamilton on the far right is demonstrating what I consider to be perfect ERUC, EarthRanger User Conference posture. Relaxed, engaged, but having a good time. And then Sean in the middle is showing the right level of ERUC engagement. I think this picture caught him in the middle of asking a question. So have fun, relax, enjoy each other, but really consider yourselves among friends and colleagues, and feel comfortable in that. So that said, who is actually here? So if the point of this whole conference is to bring a lot of people together to work with each other, I want to give you a sense of who you are in the crowd among. So this is the breakdown of the crowd by organization, not by individual. So about a third of the audience, two-thirds of the audience are currently EarthRanger users, and that's broken down by different use cases, as you can see here. So about a third of the total audience works in protected area management, about a fifth in animal tracking, a number in other different uses. We have a few prospective users who are learning about EarthRanger here. About 10% of the audience is our service partner network who offer support to EarthRanger users and organizations who are looking to adopt EarthRanger or to make the most out of it. About 14% of the audience are our tech partners. We'll talk about them a bit more in a bit. And then 17% are universities, governments, funding agencies, et cetera. So please do seek out your peers. Leverage the mobile app. If you open the mobile app, there is a list of attendees that you can see on there. And if we can make any introductions at all, please let us know. We're happy to do so. One group I especially want to point out is that we have 19 members of the EarthRanger team here. And 3 additional members from AI2, if you guys could please stand up real quick. Want to point, so we're all wearing these green shirts, and we're not doing that just because we look good in green, although we do, especially Bruce. But we would really love all of you to come grab us, talk to us, ask us questions, tell us the problems that you have, tell us what's working for you, tell us what's not working for you. Sometimes what's not working is more helpful, although of course we love to hear the good stories as well. So please, without hesitation, one of the somewhat unfortunate but great opportunities here is that in the past we knew pretty much everyone, the whole team did. This is a great opportunity to meet additional friends and colleagues, so please don't hesitate at all to talk to any one of us. Thanks, team. Also want to recognize 3 people without whom no one in this tent would be here. We have to recognize Paul Allen, obviously, as the founder of this program, but also Ted Schmidt, who's sitting over here, has returned to us after 1-year hiatus from the user conference. He is really the driving force behind the creation of EarthRanger. Wouldn't have happened without him. And then Jake Wall, who I think I saw in the back over there. Also, EarthRanger wouldn't have existed without his work at Save the Elephants and the ideas and concepts that he implemented there. So really a huge thank you to the 3 of them. So these are also folks that I hope that you will seek out and interact with. This is the EarthRanger Advisory Council, which is a group of 12 people who provide us a lot of advice and direction throughout the years, really, but also including yesterday. We had a great discussion all day long. And I won't go through the names here, but thank you to all of them, and also to Jordi from African Parks, and Willem from WCS, and Grant from 51 Degrees, who also joined us yesterday. So please do seek them out, ask questions, give feedback. So shifting gears a little bit, I want to talk just for a moment about the growth of EarthRanger itself. So EarthRanger, as of today, there are about 309 sites around the world in 47 countries that are using EarthRanger. Since last year's user conference, that's 165% growth. So that's why this crowd is so much bigger also than last year's user conference. We've also, just over the past year, had 427,000 logins to different EarthRanger instances. So we're thrilled to see the amount of effect that this has had among the community, and we really thank you for allowing us to be part of it. This is the spread of what this looks like around the world. So in addition to being in these 309 sites, EarthRanger is also adopted nationally, officially by KWS, unofficially by a lot of countries in Africa, especially Southern and Eastern Africa. And we're also in talks with 7 or 8 different countries about adopting EarthRanger nationally there as well. So the other point of focus for us over the past year has been starting to increase the assistance that we can provide outside of Africa, and to that extent, you can see a lot of growth in the Americas, and also starting in West Africa. We have Rewilding Europe here, who has a number of sites with us, and as do other organizations in Europe. We also have multiple members of the community who have come here from Asia, so we're thrilled to see that global use and collaboration as well. The adoption of the software itself, has also been shifting slightly, and we find this very interesting. When we started out on this journey, EarthRanger was built to be a security tool, really, a protected area management. You might have actually noticed in the URL when you log into EarthRanger, it says PAMDAS, which is Protected Area Management Domain Awareness System, which was the very clever name that they gave to it originally. It rolls off the tongue, Ted. But as we've gone over the years, we're really thrilled to see EarthRanger be adopted for a lot of other purposes. So now about a third of the overall EarthRanger community actually use EarthRanger for wildlife tracking and research and advocacy, not just security. We also have a growing contingent of the community that uses what we call EarthRanger Lite, which is the same product, but they use EarthRanger without any additional sensors or hardware integrated into it. So it's just a combination of EarthRanger and mobile applications, so we're thrilled to see EarthRanger be able to find a adoption among organizations that might not have the same level of infrastructure as others. And then we've also seen these, what we call snowflake, what we call snowflake uses, which are off-the-wall uses of EarthRanger that we never envisioned, but we're thrilled to support. And each one of those is its own story and very interesting. But another trend that we've seen is EarthRanger starting to spread throughout organizations, and this is something that we would really love to support moving forward. So originally just looking at security use cases, but then as time has gone by, different users have found different uses for it in ecological management and human-wildlife conflict and logistics and other things that we honestly never anticipated. And it's great to see that adoption in other departments, both for the use inside those departments, but also to increase the collaboration throughout an organization. And there we go. And I want to call out one session that's going to be held tomorrow in particular at 1 p.m. here in the main tent, which is EarthRanger for the whole organization, which is going to be presented by 51 Degrees and Loisaba. So please do come to that. It's really fascinating and to see the way that they have really empowered entire organizations to make use of this tool. The EarthRanger team itself has actually grown dramatically as well, so very proud and happy to say that we're now 36 people strong. We actually were able to break up our engineering team, which has now grown to 24 people, and into 4 different teams. So we now have teams that specialize on the core product, which is the EarthRanger web app and the EarthRanger server, the mobile application that we'll be talking about in a bit, the Gundy integration platform, which I'll introduce, and our reporting team. And this allows us to have people that are really focused on specific aspects of what you all are trying to do and help you to achieve those objectives in a much more focused way. This is just a quick picture of the actual EarthRanger team. Obviously, we won't go through it, but it's an honor to be working with all of them. The other benefit of this is that we've been able to spread geographically. So we now have members in Hawaii and Washington State, Mexico City, Guadalajara, in Argentina, in the UK, here in Kenya, and a few folks in Joburg as well. And so this has allowed us to offer nearly 24-hour support. And so just as much as your work all exists 24/7, we're trying to match that as well. Want to point out some support partners, and please also do seek these folks out. They have, I think it's a blue ribbon on the bottom of their badge. It's a different color. But 51 Degrees, Forgotten Parks, Kinetic 6, Mara Elephant Project, Space for Giants, and WPS. They've all been with us for years, really helping people take advantage of the platform. And then we also have partners with African Parks, Kenya Wildlife Service, Panthera, Parks Sonoe, and Peace Parks, who they have internal support for deploying EarthRanger in other places. And so this is fantastic from our perspective because it's really a model that we want to encourage. The more that we can get the assistance of other organizations to provide deployment and assistance within their domains of impact really allows us to scale much more than we could do ourselves. And so we thank all of them, and we look forward to working with them and a lot of additional organizations in the future on the same sort of arrangement. Want to point out one particularly important partner for us, which is SMART. We've been working with Smart for years now, but really focusedly for a couple of years, the past 2 or 3, I would say. We have 3 of the Smart, you would call them celebrities, management, here with us today. So Rich is the Smart, yeah, there he is the chair of the Smart Steering Committee, and from North Carolina Zoo, Eric Schmidt from WPS is a member of the steering committee. Denton is the council chair of Smart Technology. So please do seek them out. Ask them about Smart. Ask them about what the capabilities that it provides. And we also will have a session tomorrow as well at 9:30 here in the tent that is focused on how Smart and EarthRanger complement each other and how you can get a even better awareness and better tools out of the combination of the two together. There are actually now 21 sites that have deployed EarthRanger and Smart side by side with an integration between the two. And some of them will be part of that presentation. And we look forward to growing that number substantially as well. I want to point out a couple of the initiatives that we have underway. One is what we've called Gundi, which is at least 2/3 of the audience knows is Swahili for glue. And this is our integration platform. And basically what we've done is we've taken the integration capability of EarthRanger, which was originally built as this platform that aggregates data from lots of different places. We took that aggregation component and the integration component, moved it outside of EarthRanger as its own service, and then make that available for other conservation technologies. The idea there is that regardless of where data comes from, no matter what kind of device people are using, no matter what kind of data service, whether that's remote imagery from satellites or analytics from AI, that those data can very easily be integrated into multiple outbound destinations. We don't want all that data to only be able to come to EarthRanger. We thought it would be fantastic if those data could also go to Smart, and we're also working now with Sensing Clues out of the Netherlands and Panthera IDS and others to receive these data as well. And this has been a really tight partnership between ourselves and WPS and WCS, and we're really excited about that. We have a session. Do I have another slide for this? We do have another. Okay. We have a session tomorrow at 3:15 in Pavo over there talking specifically about the Gundi platform. But what's fantastic about this is we've been able to take some of the technology of EarthRanger already and empower, for example, multiple Smart sites in Brazil are now receiving deforestation alerts through this platform. Also want to announce that as of a couple days ago, EarthRanger is officially open source. So you can now go on to GitHub and download the code if you'd like. And we did this for 2 reasons. One is because it's philosophically aligned with our values. The EarthRanger mission is to support conservation, and that's the entirety of our mission. And so we thought it made sense for the community to have access to the EarthRanger source code indefinitely for whatever purposes conservation can make of it, but also ensuring that EarthRanger will always be free for end users. And in the second reason, of course, that we did this is we would love other members of the community to participate and contribute to the code base. So if anyone is interested in lending a hand or knows anyone that's interested in lending a hand, please let us know. We would love to work with them on getting additional people involved in the expansion of the system. I do want to call out for those that aren't familiar, open source does not mean open data. A good example of this, so 95+% of all of the web servers in the world run Linux, the Linux operating system, which is an open source operating system. So banks, credit cards, stock trading organizations, healthcare systems, e-commerce, they're all running on top of this open source system. It does not mean that the data in that system is open source. So I hope that everyone feels very comfortable about that. If not, let me know and we can talk about it. EarthRanger Mobile, we're also extremely excited to be announcing the general availability of EarthRanger Mobile today. The team has been hard at work on that, and I know that it's been the #1 requested feature, if you will, an expansion of EarthRanger for quite some time. And we have 2 sessions. We're anticipating a lot of interest in that. So today at 1 o'clock and tomorrow at 3:15 here in the main tent, the EarthRanger mobile development team will be walking you through that application and everything that you can do with it. In summary, though, just to tease a few things, it's a simple app that you can download to your phone. It will allow you to track your location, collect reports from the field, also collect reports as polygons. So if you want to record an area that has been impacted by human-wildlife conflict event or fire, then you're able to do that as well. And it has 0 setup, which I'm also really excited about. So all you need is an EarthRanger login, and the entire app will configure itself based on what you have already in EarthRanger. So please do come to those sessions. It's really a powerful tool. It's great work by the team putting that together, and I think a lot of you are really going to appreciate it. And then we also look forward to your feedback. So shifting gears a little bit, I want to talk for a minute about really why we're all here, which is really the work that you all do. And of course, there's lots of negative news that comes out all the time in conservation. I think WWF's Living Planet report probably put it most succinctly with the 69% drop in wildlife populations in the last 50 years. I don't want to dwell too much on this because I know that everyone is faced with these kinds of numbers and this reality every day. Instead, I want to just quickly point out a few highlights just to celebrate some of the work of the conservation community. I'll be honest that we didn't spend too much time picking out which one of these we were going to share because it's impossible to. And there's just too much to do. So I'm sure every single one of you have a highlight that deserves to be in this list as well. So please take that into consideration. But just a couple that we want to point out: the reintroduction of the rhinos for the first time in 40 years to Mozambique. Bruce and I were actually really fortunate and lucky enough to happen to have been in Mozambique when they arrived, which was a pretty amazing experience. The Zambian government and African parks investing a lot of money and a big commitment to Kafue National Park, number of whose partners are here today. Malawi moving elephants from Luwandi to Kasungu National Park. Spreading the reintroduction and then the growth of the elephant population there. Rewilding Europe picked up its 10th landscape in the Iberian Highlands. So the rewilding effort throughout Europe is really expanding amazingly well, and there's other organizations now also joining Rewilding Europe and doing that, which is fantastic to see. The NRT model has been expanded to places in Namibia, which is helping a lot of the elephant conservation work there. In the Americas, the Recovering America's Wildlife Act, which is $1.3 billion in funding for American conservation, has cleared some hurdles towards final approval, and we certainly hope it'll clear the others. But this will be the largest piece of conservation legislation in American history. The forest elephant census completed. WCS was leading that and found that there are 95,000 forest elephants in Gabon, which was basically like a best case scenario. So it was a terrific finding there. And similarly, a study found that there were more elephants and also more genetic diversity among elephants in Prey Cambodia. And we have some members of the Greening Prey Long team here with us as well today. So on that note, 2 years ago, we created a Conservation Technology Award that we wanted to recognize and celebrate some of the great achievements in conservation tech. And so we created this for the first time last year. We divided it up into 2 different awards, each of $15,000, one that was among the EarthRanger community and one that was among the larger community. And we did that because we didn't want it to just be an incentive or a celebration of EarthRanger itself. We doubled down on that this year and just removed the EarthRanger piece altogether, instead divided it into 2 awards, one based on the practitioners of conservation technology and one on the adopters of conservation technology. It's very different lenses into this field. And we put together a panel of 10 judges. So big thanks to all of them for their participation. And we reviewed almost 140 applications that we received to narrow it down to 2 winners. And so I am very proud and honored to announce the winner of the Conservation Technology Award for Practitioner of Conservation Technology, and that has been awarded to MoveApps. So here to accept that is Andrea Kölzsch from the Department of Migration at the Max Planck Institute.
Wow, this is overwhelming. Thank you very much. What shall I say? A speech. So we did know a little bit earlier about this, and my team and me, we were really thrilled and excited to kind of be told that this tool that we have been developing for the last maybe 2 years is more than just nice science and playing around with data, but it is something that can be used in the real world. And that makes it really special, this prize. Maybe I start off with telling you a little bit about MoveApps. Some of you know it already. So it's a platform where we want to bring together people with different skills. So on the one hand, you have this guy with the antenna collecting biologging data, and you all know that we are now in the golden age, let's say, of biologging. So tracking data is not a limiting factor anymore. It's more the limiting factor of getting it analyzed. So we have on the other side this guy, his name is Kamran Safi. It was his idea, this whole platform, trying to analyze this big book of data with just a few students, which was just too much. So the idea was to make a platform where these two kinds of people come together with both their expertises, can put their work there and use it together. So we want to kind of empower the community to improve the analysis process of biologging data, and it's free. The small analysis modules that people can put there, they are open source, so the community can have a look at the code, can improve it. It's all based on a serverless platform, so it's inclusive, sustainable, and secure. So anybody with a smartphone can use it, so you don't need a big server or anything. In terms of science, we allow to publish workflows, so kind of analysis strings with a DOI, so kind of real scientifically you get recognition for it and it's truly reproducible, so that anybody can use it and repeat it with their own data, which I think is really important, since many of you are faced with similar problems and can use similar methods. And one feature that was rather important when we got in touch with EarthRanger is our near real-time ability to run automated analysis. And there I want to show you our first use case, which was together with North Carolina Zoo, that has really shown us that MoveApps can be used for conservation and interaction, actually. So where we have taken vulture tracking data from Corinne Kendall from North Carolina Zoo, and together sat down and checked how can we make some analysis tool that is taking out clusters to find where are these vultures feeding, where they are possibly poisoned, where there's possibly a carcass that needs to be taken care of. And apart from just doing that locally on your computer, this has been run on MoveApps automatically every day, and they get an email. And on top of that, there's even now an integration with EarthRanger. So Jess has written an app, put it on our platform, and all the cluster data is then kind of coming into EarthRanger. So you can see it on EarthRanger where there are locations where many vultures are coming together. And I know you all are probably more aware than me that these are important sites that are worth to take a look at. Just some words about the award. So we were really honored. Since also I don't know very many of you, it's really a new community, and that makes it even more exciting, because being a scientist sometimes is really being locked in an ivory tower, trying to get knowledge out of data, but here it's really an application, and that makes it very, very nice. Of course, this award brings us more attention, I hope at least, but of course it also rises the expectation, which we hope to meet. We were asked what we plan to do with this award. We're thinking about it, and we would like to make this kind of a special thing to give it back to the conservation community in a way that we would like to hold a workshop for people that have ideas. What could be other use cases where MoveApps can help? And please just come by in the tea break after, or any time in this conference if you have some ideas. What could help you? I said in the beginning we want to bring together people that can code and people that collect data. And we are a bit on a short side for people that can do code. So we would like to bring together in this workshop people that can do code and have ideas to kind of let the platform grow and hopefully help you all make your work even better. And thanks again, Jess, for the nice collaboration, and hope that will grow.
And also want to point out that Andrea and Corinne from North Carolina Zoo will be, have a session, checking the time, sorry. Yeah, tomorrow. So it's in the app, it says cluster detection for real-time intervention. So that'll be tomorrow, today at 1 p.m., led by Andrea and Corinne and Zia from Panthera as well. So please do check that out. So now I'd like to present the winner of the Conservation Tech Award for the adopter of conservation technology, which I'm very proud to say went to the Arribada Club, and here to accept that is Francisco, the project coordinator for the Arribada Club.
Good morning, everyone. This is a little bit new to me. Thank you for having me. I'm going to talk about the project a little bit as well. So this project began 5 years ago in 2017 and is a part of the Arribada Initiative, which is a nonprofit organization that co-designs open source conservation technology. So as a lot of you know, the aim is to drive down costs and to make these technologies more affordable and accessible. But to make these conservation efforts that we are involved with truly inclusive, there is a need to engage the local communities where the technologies are deployed. So basically promoting local ownership of these programs, and that's where the Arribada Club comes in. So we work in regions where up to 50% of our students have never used a computer before. And we provide them now with a modern STEM curriculum that introduces them to basic IT, computer science, programming, and conservation technology. Over the course of 3 years, which is how long our curriculum is now, we provide students with around 80 hours of lessons that are full of hands-on activities and include field trips, visits from conservation specialists, and international collaborations with other students and institutions. So I can show you some of the pictures. We provide much needed basic digital literacy, but go beyond that and introduce our students to emerging technologies like 3D printing and scanning. And all of this is in the context of nature conservation and the protection of endangered species. Basically, we're trying to balance the scales a tiny bit, and we have already reached over 400 students, introducing them to these technologies that are today essential for success in any number of areas, including conservation. So we're trying to equip them with the tools and skills that they will need to become future conservation leaders. In a way, we're helping educate tomorrow's Earth Rangers, and this prize will help us continue to do so. We're now going to a second venue. We all start in the tiny island of Principe. Most of the pictures that you see here are from Principe, and now we're going to a second venue in the island of Mayu. And as you can see here, what we try to do is make our activities as analogous as possible with the work being done by conservation scientists. So for example, in Principe, what we deploy is GPS tags for green turtles. Because our students can't deploy those tags, they deploy them on the turtles, they deploy them on our local mascot, for example. So basically they're doing work that will actually help them understand what we do and make them familiar with these technologies. And we use that as a great excuse to actually teach them computer science, programming, and make them familiar with all this tech that you're talking about. And this, for example, is the international collaboration that I've been talking about. So actually using emerging technologies such as 3D scanning and printing to actually share the different species they have in different continents. Thank you so much, and well, thank you.
All right. Yeah, all of us on the judging panel were just blown away by these two projects, and really there were quite a few extremely worthy submissions that we're looking for ways to amplify their work and help them to find additional connections and resources as well. And so we'll please look out for that in the future, because there were really just so many that were incredible. I'd like to talk a little bit about EarthRanger's current status in Kenya. So here in this country, there are actually 53 different sites that are using EarthRanger now. We have also been working with the Kenya Wildlife Service for a little over three, I think, years, and in particular with my good friend Victor Mansanza, who is now the head of the EarthRanger program for KWS. Really want to thank him for his partnership and support as well. But what we have put together in partnership with KWS is EarthRanger installations throughout a lot of the national parks and also throughout a lot of the private reserves throughout Kenya. And we actually invented EarthRanger sharing, which some of you are also using for this purpose, so that the data that are collected in all of those different places can be shared centrally to the KWS headquarters in Nairobi, so that from headquarters, they're able to view all of the human-wildlife conflict incidents throughout the whole country, all of their ranger positions. I think there's 900 or something of them, as well as data that's shared with them from private organizations like Save the Elephants, which shares their elephant location data, and Mara Elephant Project, and others. And we're now working together to roll this out across all of the additional national parks, and we're extremely thankful for that partnership. So thank you, KWS. And that said, here to give our keynote today is Dickson Ritan from KWS. He is the Deputy Director of Community Relations and Outreach Programs. So Dickson, please.
Dickson K. Ritan is my name, and I'm here on behalf of my Director General, who was not able to come, but he was involved in other activities that he would not have managed to attend this function of today. But he has given us his blessings that the conference continues with the participation from all the participants that are here. He would have wished to be here, and just because of some things that just came up, he sent me to represent him and gave us his good wishes. So welcome. And basically, he has been the patron of EarthRanger in Kenya Wildlife Service. He's the one who has been driving the program and making sure that this program gets to grow to help conservation in the country. So just to give a brief on Kenya Wildlife Service as per the video, Kenya Wildlife Service, a state corporation, are charged with the responsibility of managing and conserving Kenya's wildlife. So we have a big role in terms of looking wildlife throughout the country, together with our partners and other government institutions that are involved in wildlife conservation. And just to mention a few, Kenya Wildlife Research Institute and our conservation NGOs that are involved in conservation in the country, and also partners that are critically contributing into the EarthRanger program, which I will mention as we go along. So Kenya has a number of national parks. We have a number of national reserves and a number of community conservancies. A total of 23 national parks are here in Kenya, most of them endowed with abundance of wildlife and diverse by their nature. We have around 29 national reserves in the country, which are also critical in terms of hosting our wildlife, together with around more than 170 community conservancies that also host the wildlife and create a big dispersal area for our wildlife in this country. So conservation in Kenya is a collaborative responsibility that is shared between the state, the non-state actors, and the communities. Kenya Wildlife Service being the lead agency in regard to managing the Kenya's wildlife, we've been faced by a number of challenges in the past in terms of protecting and conserving wildlife. And at times, challenges are what makes people to think beyond maybe the routines. When we are faced by such challenges like issues of poaching, issues of human-wildlife conflict, and matters related to climate change, which is now almost being said every day all over the world, people think of technologies on how to overcome those kind of threats and challenges that are facing conservation. And through those, in coming with technologies to address those threats, EarthRanger has become very handy, and we will want to thank the inventors of EarthRanger, because in one way or another, it has helped us to manage the challenges that have been facing conservation in the country. And specifically when you look at the issues of human-wildlife conflict, which is now a major problem in facing conservation at the moment, EarthRanger has become very critical in terms of managing human-wildlife conflict, specifically identifying the hotspots, response time also being reduced in terms of getting real-time information from the EarthRanger by looking at collaring and tracking, we can say herds that cause human-wildlife conflict, specifically the crop raiders, and those others also that go to human settlements. So we respond in real time, transmissions of signals to those who are expected to respond within the landscapes that they are allocated is what EarthRanger helps us to manage such a kind of scenarios of conflicts. And also monitoring translocated animals. At times, elephants or lions become a problem in specific areas. We are forced to move them to areas that have limited human settlements. And for us to monitor whether they are moving out of that ecosystem, we use the EarthRanger to manage that program, those animals. And it has been very handy in terms of looking where they are located. Is it close to human? Are they moving to safe areas or areas that will require our intervention? In terms of herds that are maybe in insecure areas or moving to areas that we consider they are not safe for those populations to be, and specifically the critically endangered species, especially elephants that we have collared, we monitor them real time and we look at their movement, whether they are mobile, whether they are running, and EarthRanger is able to provide such a kind of information. And from experience, we've been able to save certain herds that have moved to very risky areas just using the EarthRanger. Even if you don't have a real-time deployment on the ground, you will know where those animals are, and you will be able to know that they are moving to a risky area. You send a team, or you send an aerial team also to respond and bring them back to safe areas. So that is how EarthRanger has facilitated conservation here in Kenya. And in terms of looking at the human-wildlife conflict through the geofence, we've mapped the areas that are critical, put a geofence, and be able also to get real-time communications going to the people that are specifically charged with the responsibility of looking at those animals within a very short time without the community having challenges. What we've done as an organization is to roll out the EarthRanger program to all our 8 conservation areas. And within the conservation areas, they have exclusive rights to look at the data or the EarthRanger program information that is within that area. So it's just limited, but transmitted also to the National Command Center based at KWS headquarters, Nairobi, whereby we are able to look at what's happening within a conservation area, within a protected area, and they are themselves able also to look at the information that is transmitted through the EarthRanger in real time and be able to respond, and it has worked in those conservation areas. We've also collaborated with our partners, and specifically the Save the Elephant program. We also have Savannah tracking. We have Mara Elephant program. We also have Space for Giants that have been also involved in collaring of specific species of interest and be able to share the data to the National Command Center at Nairobi. All the trackers or all the collared animals within the country, we are able to get the information, and that partnership has built to make conservation in Kenya more successful. So I will also want in this session to thank them for their contribution and also being able to share that data immediately it is just deployed. Those callers, we are able to see them at our command center, and they have been our great partners. I think some of them are going to speak in this session and provide how they have been deploying and utilizing the EarthRanger in terms of responding to wildlife conservation needs in the specific landscapes where they are working. So that is how we've been utilizing EarthRanger here in Kenya. EarthRanger also can be utilized in terms of research. Most of the looking at the behaviors and the movements of the animals, we've been able to use the EarthRanger to identify wildlife corridors, critical wildlife corridors connecting between landscapes and other habitats so that we can be able to secure those corridors, advise communities that are living in those areas on how best to undertake activities within that such areas, considering that wildlife have to move at some certain stage. And some of these movements are necessitated by the pressures related with issues of climate change. When there are droughts, you will find elephants moving from maybe a savanna landscape to maybe a forested areas where they can be able to cool themselves, go to watering points. We'll be able to identify those corridors using the EarthRanger and be able to map them and make a national decision on whether to acquire those corridors through the necessary regulations that are there in the country. So EarthRanger is not only for monitoring the animals as they are, but basically meant to also provide directions in terms of what needs to be done in a specific site. This integration also of the EarthRanger with other programs, it is one of the programs that I think also Les just mentioned that EarthRanger allows integration of other programs. And here in Kenya Wildlife Service, we have integrated with other several programs like the spider tracking. We've also integrated it with even our radio systems. We've been able also to put tracking of our vehicles within the EarthRanger. And even the, it can still, at some point, I think it will mention the issues of the mobiles. You can still also integrate them to the EarthRanger and we'll be able to utilize the various systems that are there. And the advantage of the EarthRanger is the ability also to analyze data using the Tableau, which is one of the benefits of the EarthRanger that we often make good use of it. And that within a very short time, you are able to look at your patrols, look whether the area of coverage was done sufficiently based on the radio's movement. You can look whether the radio is active, vehicle is moving out of the area. You can be able to manage your teams. So EarthRanger is a good management program. You don't need to go to the ground to see what is happening. And when it comes to an emergency response, if there's a contact or there is a problem somewhere, you can be able to see which aircraft is closer to that point, which mobile team is closer to that point, and which specific maybe point that people that are within that area. You can be able to call the radios directly using the point from the EarthRanger. You can detect which radio is there, which team is there to be able to respond in real time. And that one has reduced conservation challenges. So the invention of the EarthRanger as a tool for conservation, it has contributed immensely here in Kenya. And considering that we started it, I think, way back in 2015, most of the teams that first started with the EarthRanger as KWS, maybe by that time we were not able to start with them. They started and we joined in 2018. And from the time when we joined, we were able to realize that this is a program that can contribute to conservation in a big way. Since we started that program, I think when we can register the benefits, it has helped us a lot. There are also challenges in terms of the deployment of the EarthRanger programs, that it is not a cheap program because it requires a lot of technology and people also to be able to do the activities, funding also to put it in those places. It is costly. It's not that very cheap, but it is something that is manageable. And training also of the teams. We've been able also to train more than 1,000 plus rangers and those who are managing the command centers in the various conservation areas. So without maybe training people, those people will not be able to utilize the software. So it's a process to train people. It's also a process. It's a cost also to train those people. And I think our team have been able to do that successfully. And as a country, we are proud to be a part of the EarthRanger invention. I will also want to mention in regard to the deployments of the EarthRanger in areas that maybe we don't have deployments. You can be able to look widely throughout the country. Even if you don't have a really active team in a specific area, you still can use EarthRanger to manage conservation in those areas, especially because considering the kind of space that we cover, more than 8% of the country, you cannot be everywhere at any time. So you can use technology to look at issues within those areas, including looking at issues of habitat destruction. EarthRanger can be able to provide that. It can also provide signals in regard to issues of fires. So you can be able to look at a scenario that is happening where you don't have a deployment through the EarthRanger. So it's a critical program. And I would also want to laud EarthRanger with the growth that we have just realized since the last workshop that we had in South Africa, that Les has mentioned about a 65% increase. That is an indication that the program is a program that is working and it is beneficial to conservation throughout the globe. So we are looking forward to maybe having more growth moving forward, that more people are going to join EarthRanger and new technologies in terms of the inventions of the EarthRanger. And we will also want to recognize the teams that are awarded by EarthRanger in regard to the issue of coming up with the new methods of using the technology for purposes of getting information that is in regard to maybe science, for that matter. So innovation is the way to go when it means dealing with the matters of conservation. And one of the innovations is the EarthRanger. And the good thing with the EarthRanger, if you come up with a new technology, you can be able to integrate with it and use it for conservation. So basically, distinguished participants, that is the program that we've been using, and we are grateful that it is still continuing up to today. The first workshop for the EarthRanger was held in Lewa down here in Kenya. We are now at the 7th conference of the EarthRanger. Within that period of 7 years, you can see the number of countries that have joined, institutions that have joined, and protected areas that are deploying EarthRanger. It is a great program, and we are looking forward to new technologies through the presentations that are going to be made through this conference. This one is a learning session for all of us. We were in South Africa, new technologies were learned and new ideas were also gotten by various institutions from that point. I know people are going to demonstrate how they have been using, and it will be a learning session for all of us. So looking forward to the growth of EarthRanger, and we are very optimistic that this is going to reduce our problems, because costs is something that has been of a challenge to us. And when EarthRanger came, there are reductions in terms of the utilization, because EarthRanger has been a handy tool for management of wildlife within our landscape here in Kenya. So without taking much of your time, I know you are interested in getting to know what others are doing. Let me take this opportunity, maybe before reaching the last point, to just show up my team of Kenya Wildlife Service that are present here, the ones that are driving this program, that they just rise and just wave to the participants. Kenya Wildlife Service team, you can rise from wherever you are. Those are the great men and ladies that are implementing that program in this country and making it a success. And we also have our partner institution, the Wildlife Research Institute, led by Dr. Ngene. They can also rise. It's a team that we were with them recently, but we just delinked a few days ago. And it's good that they also rights, because when we were starting EarthRanger, we were still together. And I know in one way or the other, they are also utilizing EarthRanger in the undertaking of their programs. WRTI team. Thank you, WRTI. It's also our conservation team. They are directly involved in research. I know the director will be here in the course of our session here. He will be able also to make his remarks and tell us more about EarthRanger. I think also it's good, Les, that we can give a chance also to the conservation teams that are here in Kenya. I know maybe some of them will not have an opportunity to just wave to the participants, our conservation NGOs from community conservancies and other conservation bodies in Kenya. They can rise and just say hi to the people. Wakenya mko? Thank you so much. I can now see some of them from MMWCA, which is Mara Wildlife Conservancy Association, MEP, and the rest of the others. Those are the people who are doing that big business here in Kenya. And we've been collaborating together without any kind of challenge. I think we've not had any wrangles in regard to sharing that implementation of the program. And I would want to thank all of them for the participation and contribution to conservation in this country. And we are looking forward to partnering more and making EarthRanger grow. So without taking so much time, I would also want to thank the organizers of this workshop and also choosing Kenya as a destination. Last time, I know it was just many other people would have held it, but it is a honor as a country to host such a big delegation coming to this conference of the EarthRanger. Welcome to Kenya, and thank also the supporters who have been supporting this program. So I know it is not easy to organize such a big program at their cost. We'll also thank the supporters who have supported this program to be a reality. So let me take this opportunity to declare the 7th EarthRanger conference officially opened and have a fruitful discussion. Thank you and God bless you.
Thank you so much, Dickson. And it is really hot up here. Don't worry for other presenters that are going to be presenting here. We're sourcing a fan. But I am going to blame that for having made a really unforgivable error, which is having left out 51 degrees in mentioning the KWS program. 51 degrees and the directors, Batty and Craig and Barry Cork and their whole team, especially Eddie, have really done a incredible job, not only just overseeing the implementation of EarthRanger, but also defining the processes that KWS is using to collect some of those data, and really an incredible job on defining the analysis that they're using on the data after it has all been received. So really every organization and conservation area that 51 has worked with is really, really fortunate to have their assistance, and so huge thank you to them as well. So with that, Jordan, should we push this to this afternoon, wherever you are, Jordan? He's probably looking for a fan. Well, so we're also very happy to have 9 of our tech partners with us today and this weekend. You can see them here. They're going to be out during the tea breaks. There's a tent over there, I believe, where they've set up, and they're going to be showing off some of their technology. These are all partners of ours who have created really, it's a wide range of different types of technology that can really assist conservation in general. A number of them are integrated into EarthRanger. Some of them are just fantastic partners. So please do go during the tea breaks to check out the work that they're doing. We're going to do a series of lightning talks just so that they can come up here and introduce their work, so that you can have a sense of how incredible it all is, and then go know who you want to go visit. So first up we have Sam with Conservation X Labs.
Hi everyone, really excited to chat with everyone today. I'm Sam Kelly from Conservation X Labs, lead of what's called Sentinel, which is a smart camera system we've been developing for the last few years. When we set about doing this project, we were really trying to enable real-time monitoring for a number of different things. I know this is relevant to many of you here. I'm not going to dive into any of them deeply, but just quickly, looking at doing real-time detection for wildlife crime, human-wildlife conflict, invasive species, and also just the prioritization of resources within protected areas. So our device really is really trying to, it's a smart device. It runs AI on board, so that only the useful data is being sent to where you are. The device is also deployable anywhere, so it's satellite, LoRa, or cellular enabled, and it's designed to be low maintenance. We're trying to integrate with your existing workflows, so it's not another tool you have to manage, and it's aimed to be low cost, so it's not an additional cost burden on your budget. Just quickly as to what we can do, we have very reliable human and vehicle detection on the device, and we can also do custom species classifiers on an as-needed basis. More recently, we've been doing some behavior analysis, both in Florida panthers and in gorillas. So if that is of interest, we're happy to chat further about this. And as far as what our product really is, we've got two things that we're developing right now, and happy to kind of demo them over in the tent later. But we've got a companion device that essentially makes any camera smart and kind of an easy-to-use system that just plugs into your existing camera traps. And we are also developing essentially a standalone camera that would take the place of a camera trap. Also looking towards doing a smaller covert option for security purposes. So with that, I'll just leave it there. Come chat to us in the tent. We are aiming to have delivery essentially in June 2023, and really looking for anyone that's interested in helping us in an advisory role or in collaborations. I think we've still got a lot to learn from you all, so come have a chat, and really excited to be here.
Guys, good morning. I don't think it's actually necessary to introduce Garmin because we're quite famous all over the world. And although there's quite a lot of questions going around, myself, Matthijs, and George will be around here to answer some of the questions, try to assist. Just some interesting news. First of all, Jess, thanks a lot for the opportunity for Garmin being part of the integration platform, and looking forward for the next year to come. As since last year that we've actually joined the first Congress, we had an increase of another 38 different business partners that we actually increased our platform in Africa alone. And we received numerous requests now coming from all over the world, up to Cambodia, whereby the guys also request to being involved in especially the introducing of EarthRanger. We're here actually to fight all the same battle. So we are more on the side of the rangers and the trackers. Thanks a lot, guys.
Okay, hi everyone. My name is Kevin Marriott and I work for XPRIZE. So what is XPRIZE? XPRIZE designs and operates multi-million-dollar global prize competitions to push the limits of what's possible and solve the grand challenges of our time. We believe solutions to the world's problem can come from anyone, anywhere. So how it all began. So our first XPRIZE was the Ansari XPRIZE. It was launched in 1994. It was a $10 million winner-takes-all prize, and the first team to take 3 people as a pilot and 2 passengers to space, 100 kilometers and back, and do it again in 14 days. So in 2004, that prize was won by a team that was funded by Paul Allen. The winning solution was then licensed to Richard Branson and became Virgin Galactic, creating the now $3 billion space tourism industry. So the prize actually kick-started that $3 billion tourism industry and civilian space exploration, including like SpaceX. So if it wasn't for this prize, we wouldn't have like all the access to satellites and things like that SpaceX are doing. So we run XPRIZE Rainforest. Now, unfortunately, you can no longer join a team as the registration closed. We're now 2 years into the 5-year rainforest competition, but you can still follow the competition and register your interest to take part in the impact phase, which is a 12-month phase following the competition, to where we want to get the technology that the competition produces into the hands of conservationists and protected area managers, to try and protect mainly forests. But if anybody's worked in the rainforest, equipment that will work there will pretty much work anywhere. So yeah, if you want to register your interest in that, then let me know. As you can see from the map, this is the teams of competing teams. Now, we didn't have any teams from Africa, which is really disappointing. That's something I'd like to see change. I only joined X Prize in May of this year. And we have many biodiversity and conservation X Prizes in the pipeline. So follow us and consider getting involved. So how can you get involved? We've got a $100 million prize called the X Prize Carbon Removal, which was funded by Elon Musk. And that's an open enrollment prize. So anybody with a solution can submit their application and be considered for prizes out of that $100 million prize purse. There's a $50 million wildfire prize, which has just been funded and will be launching next year. So consider making a team or collaborate or partner with any other teams. Yeah, I'll be over in the tent. I'm also giving a talk at 11:15 in the Aquila conference room. Did I say that right? So, yeah. All right. Thank you.
Cheers. And last for this morning, we have Nature Eye.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Matthew Rabinowitz. I'm the executive chairman of Nature Eye. It's a huge pleasure to be talking to all of you this morning about this amazing project. We are the world's first virtual tourism system using drones as real-world avatars. I'm joined here by Michelle and Hector.
Hi, my name is Michelle Weil. I'm the Chief Marketing Officer of Nature Eye.
So there are a few things that have happened in the last several years that have made this technology viable. The first is you've got drones that have reasonable flight times, longer than half an hour, that are relatively cheap, with very good zoom cameras and relatively cheap noise suppression technology. So these drones are pretty quiet. The second thing is you've got amazing vision recognition that enables collision avoidance and navigation systems on the drones. So the software is looking really good. And the third thing is we have ubiquitous high bandwidth, low latency communications, which is from satellite systems like Elon Musk's Starlink, and also from 5G cellular that's rolling out in most areas now. So in terms of our background, I was on the Technology Council of the World Wildlife Fund for several years, and we had this idea that we should reduce the need for nature conservancies to generate revenue by having people travel to a foreign continent. And around the time that we were working on this system to build it, COVID hit. And it became very clear that there was a need for an ecosystem around nature conservancies where the guides could be employed and people could generate revenue without requiring visitors to be traveling to a different continent in order to make their conservancy generate the economically viable ecosystem around it. So we put together a very experienced team of engineers and entrepreneurs. In terms of my background, I was a professor at Stanford in aeronautics and astronautics for 8 years. I then got involved in biotech, and I was CEO of a bunch of private and public biotech companies, including the company that built the highest volume clinical genetic test in US history. And then when I became the chairman of that company, I moved on to passion projects and became involved in conservation and joined the board of the World Wildlife Technology Review Council. So we've got a really great team of engineers. We have now got this beta system up and running in iconic places all over the world. So parents can sit down with their kids, for example, and spend half an hour traveling these areas, looking at amazing scenery, animals, taking pictures and videos. This is something which is an educational tool. It's for couples who want to go on dates together. It's really anywhere in the internet that you have a good connection and you can leverage this low latency, high bandwidth link for really good comms and an amazing touring experience with the drones. What's great about this is that it's a real revenue generator for the conservancies. So we did a survey of about 700 people. What we found is that users would be prepared to pay about $80 for half an hour on the drone. There'll be a lot of additional groups joining those tours over time. But for those users who are actually managing the drone themselves and using it as an avatar, that's about $80, and you split that 50-50 with the Nature Conservancy. And the result is you can generate a significant amount of revenue, about $200,000 per year per drone. And one person on the ground who works as a guide as well can manage the drone services. So we hope to totally change the paradigm of how much money you guys can generate by managing nature conservancies, and it will be a real pleasure to have you come to our booth. Michelle.
So you're probably wondering how all of this works. First of all, our partner provides the location on the ground and the guide, as Matt mentioned, who's going to be guiding the experience, both from an audio guide perspective, so giving people a tour of the area, and they're able to take control of the drone at any time. NatureEye provides everything else. So we provide all of the equipment, including the drones. We built a system that allows the drone to speak to the customer through the cloud and show that visual experience. We also provide all of the training and licensing that's necessary, as well as all of the marketing. That's my job. Safety, we get a lot of questions about safety, and of course safety is a top priority for us. We have, as Matt mentioned, really low noise propellers, drones that have powerful zoom lenses so we can avoid getting too close to wildlife or to guests at the conservancies. The drones themselves have built-in collision avoidance systems, and then we've implemented a number of additional controls, including maximum speeds, geofenced areas, which we work with our partners to define exactly where the drones can fly, how high, how low, how far. And then the guides on the ground are the ultimate control, that they are able to take over the drones at any time, even though the remote customer can fly. We also know that, especially in Africa, poaching is a big risk. And so in high-risk areas, we provide ID verification of the customers to make sure that they are who they say they are, as well as IP address restrictions. And then our partners can use the drones in the off time when they're not flying around for customers in any way that they need. So for anti-poaching, human-wildlife conflict, for mapping, any purposes that they would like. So we already talked a bit about the revenue. There are a lot of other benefits to our partners. First is awareness. So we will be marketing this initially in the United States and eventually to a global audience. So you're creating awareness for the places that you operate. We think of this as a marketing opportunity for our partners, because when people take a virtual travel experience, they then want to visit the places in person. We also provide job creation and training the guides with the technological skills to run the system and then to speak and guide the customers. And then finally, advocacy is very important to us. We want to tell the stories of the conservation efforts that you are making. And so publicizing that story to an international audience is a big part of what we do. So we have several partners in preparation for our launch, which is going to happen early next year. We have a Wilderness Conservation Trust here in Kenya. We also have sites in Botswana, in South Africa, in Peru, in Iceland, in St. Lucia. And we're actively talking to several additional partners, and we want to talk to you as well. So we will be over in the exhibitor tent, and I hope you come and talk to us.
I think it's important to mention that we were very concerned about the wildlife not being disturbed by the drones. And what we found is even elephants, who are quite sensitive because they're worried about the sound of bees, it's one of their main concerns in life, they get very used to the drones very quickly. There doesn't seem to be an issue. When we set up at a conservancy, we will fly the drones, make sure that the animals are not disturbed by that. And so these are some of the things that we will absolutely work with you on. The drones have such great zoom cameras nowadays that you can fly at a very good height without disturbing visitors or animals. But usually the nature conservancies have a location that's away from visitors, which is for all of the world to explore with their avatars. Anyway, look forward to seeing you. It's great to be here. Thank you.
All right, thank you to all of them, and we'll have the remaining five tech partners talking this afternoon right before the closing keynote session. Very quickly, I want to mention some logistics. There you go. So one thing that's obviously very new for us, given the size of the audience, is that the same format that we've had in the past, if it isn't going to work, if we want to have the sessions remain collaborative and have discussion. And so for the first time, we have multiple tracks. So we have 3 different tracks. There are different room sizes for the different tracks. We did our best to try to predict which sessions would appeal to broader audiences versus which are more specialized. But inevitably, we got some wrong. We apologize in advance, but we'll do the best that we can. If you can go onto the app and register or save, whatever the button is called, for the sessions that you're interested in this afternoon and tomorrow, that'll help us to move sessions around if necessary into the right rooms. So that said, please do check the app for the most up-to-date room assignments before you head to those sessions. I do, in particular, want to point out one session that we feel very, very strongly about, but is in one of the smaller rooms, which is the Women in Conservation session. I don't love the fact that we can only support a fraction of the audience for this session, but I wanted to say it was actually at the request of the presenters of that session that it be in the smaller room. But it obviously a critical topic to everyone here. So use the mobile app. We have 42 speakers in 37 sessions, so there will be a lot of information. I would like to give a round of applause now to all of them. Thank you all so much for participating. So the rough schedule, we just finished the keynotes. We're half an hour late. We're going to push back everything by a half an hour, so add 30 minutes to everything on the slide, please. And we'll update the app accordingly if it's not already done, so that all the times in there are accurate. Basically, the format of the next few days are going to be keynote, tea break, breakout sessions, lunch, breakout sessions, tea break, and then the keynote presentation. So tomorrow, our keynote will be Dr. Patrick Amondi from WRTI in Kenya, and looking forward to hearing from him, but otherwise the similar structure to the day. I do want to call out a handful of EarthRanger specific sessions. These will be offered by the EarthRanger team. We have a full EarthRanger walkthrough, including a focus on what's new since the previous user conference. So there's one today, one tomorrow of those. Also ER Mobile, as I mentioned, one today, one tomorrow. We have a session that's going to be focused on using the EarthRanger API, which you can use to make your own applications or access data or extend things. So it's a more technical session, but that will be tomorrow. And then there's also a session about Gundy tomorrow as well. We also will have a ranger station, as we've been calling it, in the Columba room, which is over by the conference center. And that is going to be staffed by members of the EarthRanger team all day today and tomorrow. Different members of the team with different specialties will be there at different times. Probably answer most questions you have at any time, but this is the schedule of those specialties if you have a specific question about a specific topic. So take a look at the schedule in the app for that. Few logistics notes. As you already saw last night and this morning, we have the meals in four different restaurants around the facility. So please do find one that interests you. It seemed to work out all right yesterday with people self-organizing, so that's great. Tomorrow night's dinner will be here in the main tent. Happy hours between the end of the sessions and dinner, so please do join your peers for that and collaborate as much as possible. I was going to say that the elephant in the room is the Kenya Airways strike, but then I'm about to make the worst and first geofence break joke in history. Everyone at KWS's cell phones would start buzzing with WhatsApp alerts. No. All right, fair enough. So Kenya Airways is on strike, and so if folks are leaving via Kenya Airways, it might be an issue. So if you're not aware of that already, please do take a look, make alternate arrangements if you can. Let us know if we can help in some way, and we'll try to figure it all out the best we can. That will of course also impact outbound shuttle schedules. So please see Ella and Leo, who will be outside at one of these tents, tables during the tea breaks. They can help update the shuttle schedules. And also, as you've noticed, just so you know, we'll be filming and photographing these sessions. All of the sessions will be available online on YouTube in 2 weeks or so, so look for those. And if you have any questions or comments about those media, please see Jordan. Community.earthranger.com. I hope that most of you are already on this. If you're not, it's the EarthRanger online forum, so please do sign up for that. We did also add a ERUC 2022 category to that, so if anyone wants to have discussions there, there's also a link to this in the app. But it's also generally a great resource outside of ERUC as well for connecting with peers, asking questions about EarthRanger or anything really in conservation tech. And you've already seen this, I hope, but here's the map of the facility. So with that, I will let you all go to your first tea break. Hope this was interesting and helpful, and please do enjoy the conference.